I'm Sarah Bedingfield and I work for Kent County Council Libraries Registration and Archive Service. I'm going to talk to you today about evaluation and why evaluation is important. So I'm the Service Manager for Service Innovation, Digital and Libraries. I manage a team of very clever information professionals and the information and resources for the service. And I also manage a team of fabulous business development officers who initiate and support projects and events across Kent's 99 libraries. These initiatives are often cultural events, projects or shows that take place across our network of libraries. A few recent examples include Playground, an Arts Council England funded project where Kent artists ran creative sensory sessions in our libraries using our baby rhyme time sessions as a platform to explore the validity of creative practice with babies, very young children and their families. We supported the recent Turner Prize in Margate, working in partnership with the Turner Contemporary on their Arts Council England funded programme across Kent. We ran workshops with existing library groups, contributing to a digital art installation that was commissioned especially for the Turner Prize exhibition. And working in partnership with Lyrici Arts to bring ballet to libraries, all based on Alice in Wonderland. In managing these projects, continual evaluation has been key. When I was first thinking about this talk, I decided to start from the basics. What actually is evaluation? Well, in true library fashion, the Oxford English definition of evaluation is as follows: the making of a judgment about the amount, number or value of something. Another source describes evaluation as to judge the value or worth of something. Words used time and time again in all the definitions I came across were significance, worth and quality. So tailoring this to library events and performances, you need to define your criteria for evaluation from the very start of the project. Is it worth us doing this? Why are we doing it? What outcomes are you wanting to achieve? Is the initiative designed to grow your customer base, to generate income, or are you targeting a particular protected characteristic? A solid proposal will help you define your outcomes from the outset. Evaluation is an iterative process and is most effective if it's carried out throughout your project, starting as early as possible. A starting point for me is the County Council's strategic statement. Kent's new strategic statement is currently out to consultation, but one of the supporting outcomes for us in our 2015 to 2020 strategy is Kent residents enjoy a good quality of life and more people benefit from greater social, cultural and sporting opportunities. So immediately there is an overarching outcome that I can evaluate against: more people accessing cultural opportunities. There would be other supporting outcomes depending on your initiative. I might define other outcomes such as a targeted audience number, representation from a certain community, or I might be looking to reduce social isolation. Thorough evaluation will pull out any secondary outcomes that you may not have anticipated. For example, a theatre piece may really benefit a dementia group. It's a good idea to discuss early on what outcomes your partners are wishing to achieve too. There will inevitably be some common factors, but maybe some slightly different focuses. In my experience, always best to combine the two. Less work for the evaluator and less annoying for customers if they're asked to complete form after form, for example. Another key document for us in Kent is an equality impact assessment. A simple screening will ensure that in relation to whatever it is you're planning, you address each of the protected characteristics in turn, mitigating where certain groups could be disadvantaged by what you're doing. For example, it might make you think about the accessibility requirements and you may plan your event or performance slightly differently. It's always good to involve as many people as possible when thinking about equality and diversity, and these conversations are always beneficial as early as possible in your planning. So once you've defined your outcomes, you're going to need to figure out how you're going to measure and collate your evidence. You'll obviously record metrics of any event, so numbers of bums on seats, but what about the feedback you get from your customers? What are they saying? You may want to have an evaluation form, but again, in my experience, always best to get a face-to-face feedback. You could even record it. A built-in 5-minute question and answer at the end of a performance may elicit some great feedback. Conversations to explore the real so what information can be useful. What has this initiative actually meant for somebody? Have they learned a new skill? Have they enjoyed a contemporary piece of art that they may have perceived before that it just wasn't for them? You'll need to find a way of recording these powerful stories. If it's on a form, then incorporate a period of time at the end for people to complete, or use staff and volunteers to help capture the feedback. In Kent, we have developed an evaluation framework which takes these so what stories and categorises them by outcome. It's a simple spreadsheet which aligns all of the great customer feedback, allowing you to quantify the qualitative information. For example, say 30% of our stories show a direct correlation that libraries can help to reduce social isolation. It's quite powerful. If you want to know more or use our template, then please do get in touch. It's a really powerful tool, and in practice it's useful to pull on evidence for funding applications or convincing another organisation that libraries really can deliver on a whole host of outcomes. Of course, you'll have pictures and films of the activity. These can often bring an evaluation to life. A picture can tell 1,000 words. A film with actual real-life customer and other stakeholders' words can be even more powerful. And importantly, remember permissions. Nothing worse than not actually being able to use a film or a photo. Learning lessons is one of the key outputs from an evaluation, and it's important to be objective when you evaluate an initiative. This can often be quite difficult. Self-criticism is a tricky area and people don't like to admit failures. It can be quite difficult to admit if something hasn't gone quite so well, right? I see it as a strength, and there is always so much to learn from those big bloopers. We've all been there. Input from your library staff who are helping to facilitate and host the events, your practitioners and the artists who have delivered the events, and obviously from customers is a really healthy mix, healthy balance. A useful way to categorise your evaluation is the stop, start and continue model. So you might start to think about what should we stop doing here? Things that aren't working or helping, things that get in the way or just aren't practical for you, or you haven't had the desired outcomes that you wanted, or people just don't like it. What should we start doing? So things that are not being done but should be, things that we can begin to do to get better results, things that are worth trying or experimenting with to get better results. And what should we continue doing? Things that are working well, things that we want to keep. If we want to continue just to see if it's worthwhile, we might have started to get some results, but they're only just starting to come in. Or we like it or we need it. So what next? What do you do with your evaluation? So obviously your managers will undoubtedly want to see some form of assessment of any activity. Your funders will have certain criteria that you will have built in when you were thinking about your outcomes right from the beginning. And you may want to use it to influence change. What's next? How can the lessons learned refine to make the experience better for customers next time? Thank you for listening. Any questions, just drop me a line at sarah.bedingfield@kent.gov.uk. Thanks.